All right, so today we're diving into um, Too Late by Colleen Hoover.
Oh, yeah.
This one is definitely a wild ride.
Definitely a page turner for
It
sure.
is. It really throws us right into the thick of things right away with Sloane, who's a college student trying to navigate this really complex relationship with a pretty dangerous guy named Asa.
Right.
And he's a drug trafficker. So we're already starting in a pretty intense place, and I think we're just going to walk through the story chronologically, chapter by chapter,
Yeah,
to really experience those twists and turns, because there's a lot.
absolutely. There's a lot going on.
So let's start from the beginning
yeah.
and sort of set the scene for who Sloane is and what she's dealing with right off the bat.
Yeah, so Sloane is, she's in college, and like you said, she's in this relationship with Asa, who we find out is a drug trafficker.
Right.
And she's tied to him in a way that she can't get out of right away. Because he's the one who's paying for her brother's medical care.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she feels this incredible sense of obligation to him.
So she's trapped.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
Exactly. And that's only going to get more and more intense as the story goes on.
Oh, boy, I bet.
But then we have Carter, who enters the picture.
Okay.
He seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Charming classmate. Maybe he's going to be the one that helps Sloane see, there's more out there than this awful relationship she's in.
Right, right.
But then we quickly learn that Carter also has a secret. And his secret is that he's an undercover DEA agent who's actually targeting Asa's whole drug operation.
Oh my gosh, so it's like
love
triangle, but with
really high stakes.
Yeah, life or death consequences.
Exactly. So we have Sloane, who's already trapped, and now she has this new connection, but it's incredibly risky.
Right.
And of course, this new dynamic is going to throw some fuel on the fire with Asa.
Right. So what happens when Asa starts to realize that there's this new guy in the picture?
Well, his true colors start to show a lot more, I think.
Oh.
We see how manipulative he can be. He also kind of falls deeper into drug use.
Oh, no.
Colleen Hoover does a really good job of painting this picture of obsession and how it can warp into something truly dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he was already starting in a very scary place.
Exactly, and it's only going to get worse.
So how does Sloane deal with all of this? Because she's stuck with this guy who's becoming more and more unstable and dangerous.
She's terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't be?
Right.
But she's also a survivor, and she starts to realize, okay, this guy is not who I thought he was. He's controlling me.
Yeah.
He's manipulating me.
Right.
And she knows she's in real danger, and that tension just keeps building.
Oh, I bet.
And it gets really bad when Asa forces Sloane to get engaged to him.
Oh my gosh, it's a huge red flag.
It's a major red flag.
Yeah.
And it just shows how desperate he is to keep her under his control.
Right. So how does this kind of forced engagement change things between Sloane and Carter?
It forces them closer in a way. Because Sloane is feeling even more trapped than before.
Right.
She needs someone to talk to, someone to confide in, and she starts to see that in Carter, but it's so risky.
Yeah, because he's undercover.
Exactly.
So he can't really be there for her in the way that she needs.
Right, and if Asa found out, it would be...
Oh, it would be awful.
A disaster.
So they're in this impossible situation where they're drawn to each other, but the danger surrounding them makes it almost impossible to be together.
Exactly. It's this constant push and pull.
So what happens next?
Well, Sloane eventually discovers Carter's secret.
Oh, no.
She finds out he's a DEA agent.
Okay.
And this is a huge turning point in the story because now she has to decide, can she trust him to help her get away from Asa?
That's a big moment of truth for both of them.
It really is.
So how does Asa react when he starts to sense that he's losing control over Sloane?
He just gets more erratic, more dangerous, driven by jealousy and this need to control everything. And there's this really intense scene at their engagement party where he forces Carter to make a toast.
Oh, my God.
Like this twisted power play to show everyone who's really in charge.
Right, right. And just really highlighting the danger that they're all in.
Exactly. It's a very unsettling scene.
I can imagine.
You can really feel the tension in the air.
Yeah, and I mean, Sloane must be feeling this immense pressure for all sides.
She is. I mean, she's trying to figure out what to do, who to trust. Her feelings for Carter are growing, but she's terrified of what Asa might do.
Right, so she's caught between this impossible love triangle and this criminal underworld that's closing in around her.
Yeah, exactly. And that pressure is just building and building.
So how does it all finally explode?
Well, it all kind of comes to a head when Asa decides to stage a fake FBI raid at a dinner party.
What?
I know, it's insane, right?
That's crazy.
It's like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
And it's all this elaborate plan to try and expose Carter
Okay.
to prove that he's not who he says he is.
So he suspects something's up.
Yeah. He's not stupid. He's just unhinged.
Okay, so what happens during this raid?
Well, in all the chaos, Carter accidentally reveals his real name.
Oh, no.
Which is Luke.
Okay, so he slips up.
He does, and Asa sees that as confirmation
Oh, my God.
of everything he's been suspecting.
So how does he react to that?
Not well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's really disturbing, actually. He goes on this rampage of possessiveness and rage.
Right.
And he ends up torturing Luke both physically and emotionally.
Oh, my God.
It's a really dark turning point in the story.
Yeah, that takes things to a whole other level.
It does, and it just shows how truly depraved Asa really is.
So this is way beyond just like a toxic relationship. This is
life or death.
Yeah.
Survival.
Where's Sloane in all of this?
She's still trying to play this dangerous game.
Okay.
Pretending to love Asa to protect herself.
Mm-hmm.
And also to protect her unborn child, because at this point she's pregnant.
Oh, wow.
But we don't know who the father is.
Oh, my gosh. So there's even more at stake now.
Right, exactly. And the suspense is just unbearable at this point.
So what happens next?
Well, Asa actually kills one of his own men.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Okay.
He finds the guy trying to assault Sloane, and he just snaps and kills him.
So in a way, he's like protecting her?
In a very twisted way, yes.
Yeah.
But then he forces Sloane to wait with him for Luke to come home.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's basically setting the stage for this final deadly confrontation.
So all building to this climax.
Yeah, everything's about to explode.
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be intense. Yeah, and Luke, he walks right into the trap.
Oh, no.
He has no idea that Ace is waiting for him.
Right.
But luckily, he was smart enough to take some precautions.
Right.
He has a surveillance team watching the house.
Oh, wow.
And when they see that something's not right, they warn him.
So he knows he has to be careful.
Yeah, this is it.
This is the moment of truth.
Exactly. And in this really tense showdown, shots are fired. Oh, my God.
Asa is killed.
Wow. So the threat is finally gone.
It is.
But, I mean, I can't imagine that the emotional fallout from all of this is just over.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, Sloane and Luke have been through so much trauma.
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time to heal from that.
And they have to try to piece their lives back together.
Right. And they even go to Asa's funeral.
Oh, wow.
Which I can't even imagine.
To attend the funeral of someone who caused you so much pain.
Yeah, it must be surreal.
So what happens as they try to move forward?
Well, Sloane gets some pretty life-changing news.
Okay.
She finds out she's pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And the timeline makes it unclear whether Asa or Luke is the father.
Oh, my gosh. So that adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Right, because now they have this huge question mark hanging over their future.
So how does Luke react to that uncertainty?
He's amazing, actually.
Okay.
He tells Sloane that no matter what, he's going to be there for her.
Wow.
And for the baby.
That's incredible.
It really is. He's so committed to her.
Yeah.
But even with that support, I mean, it can't be easy to just move on from everything that happened.
No, you're right. And even though Ace is gone, his presence is still felt.
What do you mean?
Well, remember, he was obsessed with knowing if the baby was his.
Right, right.
And even in death, that obsession kind of lingers.
So even though he's physically gone, his need for control still affects them.
Exactly. It's like his shadow is still hanging over their lives.
Wow, that's really eerie.
It is, and it makes you wonder if they'll ever truly be free from him.
So did they ever find out who the father is?
Sloane buys a paternity test.
Okay.
But Luke refuses to take it.
Really?
Yeah, he says he doesn't need to know.
He's made his choice.
He loves Sloane. And he's going to love their child no matter what.
That's so powerful.
It's a beautiful act of love and acceptance.
And it shows how much he trusts Sloane.
Exactly.
So they choose to build a life together despite the uncertainty.
They do. And Sloane gives birth to a healthy baby boy.
Ah.
And they name him Dalton.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's a really meaningful name because it's actually a tribute to Luke's partner.
Oh, wow.
Who helped them survive Asa.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a way to honor his sacrifice.
It feels like a fitting end to their journey.
In a way it is, but there's still this underlying sense of unease.
What do you mean?
Well, the scars from Asa's abuse run deep. And I think Colleen Hoover does a really good job of showing that healing from that kind of trauma takes time.
So even though they found peace and happiness, Asa's shadow still looms over them.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the most powerful messages of the book.
That it's not easy to escape the past.
And that the effects of abuse can last a long time.
Wow, it sounds like Too Late is a story that really stays with you.
It definitely does. It's not a light read.
No, it sounds pretty intense.
It is, but it's also really well written and thought-provoking.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
Oh, thanks.
I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of the book now.
I'm glad to hear that.
It really does. It makes you think about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So as we kind of rack up our deep dive into Too Late, what are some of the key takeaways that you think really stand out?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is how insidious these toxic relationships can be.
Right.
You know, Colleen Hoover really doesn't hold back.
Mm-hmm.
She shows us exactly how manipulation and control can trap someone in a really dangerous situation.
Yeah, it's scary to think about how someone like Asa can just use charm to hide their real intentions.
Exactly. And it's easy to see how Sloane got caught up in all of that.
Yeah.
But I think the book also really highlights those red flags.
Oh.
Like Asa's jealousy, his possessiveness,
Right.
that escalating paranoia. Those are all huge warning signs.
Yeah, you can't ignore that stuff.
You really can't. And it's a reminder that abuse isn't always physical.
Right.
It can be emotional, psychological.
And that can be just as damaging, if not more so.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that there's help out there. If you or someone you know is in a situation like this,
Yeah.
there are resources available. Reaching out is so important.
It's a message that we can't hear enough.
Definitely.
And it makes you realize that Too Late isn't just a thriller. It's a story that could actually help someone.
I think so too. It raises awareness about these dangerous relationships.
Right. And even with all the darkness in the story, there's also this really powerful message about resilience.
Absolutely. Sloane goes through so much.
Oh, yeah. She did.
But she never gives up. She keeps fighting for her freedom, for her future. And in the end, she finds love and happiness.
She's such a strong character.
She is. And her journey really shows us that even after unimaginable trauma, there's always hope for healing.
And Carter, or Luke, he plays a huge role in that healing.
He does. He's that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
He represents that healthy, supportive love that Sloane deserves.
Yeah, the kind of love that's based on respect and trust.
Yeah, exactly.
And not fear and control.
Right. So I think ultimately Too Late leaves us with this feeling of hope. It's a story about survival, about breaking free from those chains of abuse and really taking back your life.
So even when it feels like it's too late.
It's never really too late.
Wow, that's a powerful message.
It is.
Well, this deep dive has been really incredible.
Thank you.
I feel like I have a whole new perspective on the book.
I'm glad to hear that it's a book that I love to talk about.
I can tell.
There's so much to unpack.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, but thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Too Late by Colleen Hoover.
It was my pleasure.
And we'll be back soon with another captivating book that's sure to keep you thinking.
Sounds good.